hockey fans, and welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and I'm your host on the program that is by a fan, for all you fans, and you gotta know definitely about the fan. Today, I normally have Haley York here as my co-host. Well, I'm gonna kind of put Haley on pause, and I'm sorry, Haley, but I've got a special guest today. Today I am joined by a gentleman who does what I do for the San Jose Sharks. He has a site on YouTube called Twisted Wrister Hockey. Please welcome Nick Pinkerton. Nick, welcome to the the Blue Note Fan Report.
Thanks for having me on the show, Guy. Like you said, I've been a Sharks fan for over 20 years. I've inked myself to bleed teal for life, and I love making videos about my team and about hockey in general, so check out my channel if you're interested in hockey history and jersey unboxings and all that good stuff.
Oh, no problem, and I'll make sure we'll put the link up and the page to it, and I know that you have a Twitter account also. What's that Twitter account, Nick?
It's my name. It's Nick_Pinkerton, but just search Twisted Wrister Hockey and you'll find it.
Right. Yep, we'll put that link up also. So Nick, you and me have been doing this about the same amount of time. I know we tried to get together last year a little bit, but with us both being new, we weren't sure how it would really work, so we passed. But now we're a little bit better, and we can talk about the rich playoff history, and really not even just playoff history, rich history between the Sharks and the Blues. The Sharks are the team that I've seen play the second most of all the teams I've seen play. And I was actually lucky enough, I was home on leave, and I got to see the very first Sharks game at the arena their opening year.
Back at the Cow Palace or SC?
No, at the arena in St. Louis.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting. And in fact, that's the reason I went and seen the Blues play the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas, because I remember the excitement of seeing a team play for the first time. You know, that was just a cool moment. So as we were talking, you and me have talked offline, the Blues and the Sharks have a pretty rich, even though it's short, rich playoff history. In the 26, 27 years that they've been playing together, they've met 6 times in the playoffs. They're 3-3, and the Blues hold a slight advantage of 18-17. 18 wins, 17 losses. But what I would really want to talk about is the last couple of years, 12, 16, and 19. That's kind of what led us to where we are today. Agreed?
Oh, totally. I mean, you go back to 2012, and that's when you have sort of the young core of the Blues coming together that we would see win the Cup in 2019. And for the Sharks, I mean, they had a number of players who are still on the roster today. So, it's definitely relevant looking into the series that they had in the years coming after that. So, definitely an interesting history. They've been kind of at different points in their franchises when they've gone head-to-head like that. And like you were saying, it's been a very even matchup overall and an interesting rivalry to explore.
Yeah, it really has. I was lucky enough in 2012. I'd taken my daughter to visit the University of San Francisco during that series, and Game 5 was in St. Louis while we were in there that weekend. So I was able to watch that down on Fisherman's Wharf with a bunch of, believe it or not, San Jose fans that far up. About that time, it kind of seemed that hockey was moving up the peninsula a little bit. So I guess I kind of got there when it first started moving up the peninsula. That was a decent series. I mean, it was quick. It was 5 games. But it kind of showed what those two teams, it kind of started that adversity between those two teams.
Oh, definitely so. You look at the Sharks, they were captained by Joe Thornton there, so he was in a leadership position. Marlowe was the captain before him, and of course he was on the roster. Joe Pavelski was fairly young at that point, as was Logan Couture, and even Brent Burns and Marc-Edouard Vlasic were on the roster as well.
Now, between 12 and 16, I think you guys went to I think we were talking about it yesterday during pre-production, you guys went to the Western Conference Finals a couple of times in that period. Am I correct?
In 10 and 11, yeah.
10 and 11. Okay, so just before that.
Forgettable conference finals appearances, losing to the Blackhawks and getting our butts kicked, frankly. And then the Canucks just stuck it to us pretty well as in 2011.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, you know, we've been in the thick of a fairly fortunate time for San Jose fans because we've been to the playoffs in all but 1 year in the past, like 15 years. Of course, this season would have been an exception as well. But yeah, we've been a competitive club. We just, we've always been a bridesmaid, but not the bride.
Yep, trust me, I know all about that. So now we move into, you go through the years there, and you got 13, 14, 15, and this is when both teams are really playing some good hockey. They haven't met yet, I mean, but they're in the playoffs, they're developing talent, and then we get to 2016. And 2016, things just felt right. Now, if I remember right, the Sharks had kind of just sneaked into the playoffs, or had just gotten, just sneaked into the third seed, if I remember correctly.
Well, actually, kind of like the Blues this past season, the Sharks weren't in the playoff picture, I think, in December or maybe early January, and then they got on a roll, as did Pittsburgh as well. And so they weren't quite talked about as much, though, because they were in the same division as a very good Ducks team with a good veteran core there, and of course the LA Kings, who had won in 2012 and 2014. So they were actually the favorite out of the Pacific bracket, and maybe even to represent the West in the Cup Finals.
So here's the interesting thing. So you're playing your rival, the LA Kings, in the first round. We're playing our rival, the Chicago Blackhawks, in the first round. We go to 7 games in that one, and I think you actually came out in 5, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that some of the fans expected a very close series, even if the Kings had been the favorite going in. But the Sharks were just playing lockdown defensively.
Yeah.
They just really stifled LA in that series.
Well, the reason I bring up 16 is because it's going to come in later when we talk about 2019, the irony and just the things that go together. But Martin Jones in 16 just said, okay, I've had it. I'm stopping pucks. Yeah,
stood on his head. One of the best goaltender performances we've seen in the playoffs in the last decade, I'd say.
Right. To me, he was really close to earning the Conn Smythe in that series. If that series goes 7 games, I think he gets the Conn Smythe.
Oh, in the first round or the Cup Finals?
The Cup Final.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, the only reason why the Sharks had a chance and were able to even push into 6 games was pretty much because of Jones. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking history, so people already know what happened. So, but we go into the second round. Now, in the second round, on our side, it went, chalk. The number 1 seed Dallas Stars win. We win 1 and 2. On your side, it didn't go chalk. The Nashville Predators somehow figured out how to beat the awesome, mighty Ducks. And now you're facing, and you have what you didn't think you were going to get, a home seed in the first round, or in the second round. So you've got a home series against the Predators, and we have an away series against the Stars. Again, think about this later as we're going to do a couple different shows here, but when we get to it, how this is going to play for 2019. So you guys have an amazing series with the Predators. If I think it was Game 6 that went into triple overtime that the Preds won. Is that correct?
I want to say it was either Game 3 or 4 that was triple overtime.
Yeah.
I think Game 6 might have gone into overtime as well.
Yeah.
But you're right in that it was in Nashville.
Yeah. I remember seeing the players just falling. They were so tired. They just fell over onto the ice. They couldn't even come over the board. They were so tired after that goal went in. It was just an amazing series. And now we had a pretty good one with Dallas. Dallas, for the most part, had our number. Both series go to 7 games. For St. Louis, they go into Dallas, and you know what? They just told Dallas, not this year. and they blew Dallas out. I think it was 6-1. But you guys had a close game with Nashville, if I remember right.
Well, the series itself was definitely neck and neck. What happened in Game 7, though, was just an absolute domination from the Sharks. They won that, I'm almost positive, 5-0.
Yeah.
Pacarine broke his goal stick on the net. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was a coming out party, really, for the Sharks to move into the conference finals.
So now you have an interesting setup. You have the Blues and the Sharks meeting in the Western Conference Finals. Now for the Sharks, they had been there just a few years earlier in 2011. You had guys on the team that had been there before. You have the Blues, who hadn't been to the Western Conference Finals since 2001, 15 years. And it had been 15 years before that. So you really don't have anybody with that deep playoff experience, especially since the Blues had a lot of homegrown players, just like San Jose does. So that series comes out, and the St. Louis was the, I want to say, overwhelming favorite. I think
they were, they're the fairly clear favorite there.
Right. The majority of pundits had picked St. Louis to win that series. And you and me had talked about, the San Jose with the LA, how very few people had picked them. And I was telling you, I did. I had actually picked the Sharks to win that series, but I picked it in 7. I didn't think it was going in 5. But I picked it for personal reasons. My daughter graduated from college in 2016. And I'm like tracking dates, and we were going to go there for her graduation. And I'm going, if the Sharks make it, there's a good chance those games are going to be in San Jose when I'm there. So that's why I picked it. So I can't toot my horn too much.
That's some good parenting, though. Very smart parenting.
So what happened was Blues and Sharks are meeting the Western Conference Finals, and they're meeting in Game 1 and 2 in St. Louis. Game 1, Blues come out and tell the Sharks, this is our series. They win that game pretty handedly, and then comes Game 2. And Martin Jones was just pissed off. I'm going to let you talk about this, because I can't even fathom what happened in the next 2 games.
Yeah, I think the Sharks, when I look back at what they were able to do, not just in goaltending, but defensively, I'm looking at personnel. This is Vlasic when he's capable of shutting down the top scorer for every team. You look at what he did to Andrzej Kopitar, how he silenced, Vlad Tarasenko in that series, and actually did pretty well on Connor McDavid the next year too. So you have an elite shutdown defenseman there. You have Burns, who was having a Norris caliber season. He was in the Norris conversation as finalist that year. He won it the next year. So he's adding offense from the back end. And then you have Justin Braun. You have actually then we had Roman Polak at that time too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the rest of our defensive makeup there. Brendan Dillon was part of the defense there. But overall, Pete DeBoer, he has this amazing capability of just taking a team and seemingly from nowhere and leading them to a deep playoff run. He did that with the Devils in 2012 when they went to the finals and played against LA. And now he's had a really good, tenure so far.
Uh-oh.
Certainly resonating in the locker room.
Okay, I lost you there for a bit. I think I'm going to make sure I got you back. Yep, we got you back there. Okay, no problem. Happens every now and then when you do these via satellite videos. So Martin Jones just really puts it down. Your defense is stifling. Blues can't get one into the net, I had a friend, the guy that was doing the radio for the Blues at the time, the studio analyst, the in-studio radio, not the announcers, and he's like pushing at the goal lamp going, do something. Then comes Game 4. Now, I was at Game 4. It was the first time that I ever took my daughters to a hockey game. I had taken my wife before. I hadn't taken my daughters. So this was a thrill for me to do this. And I was in absolute hockey heaven down at the SAP Center. Like I wanted to be in the door the moment they opened the door. I hadn't been to a game for a while. I hadn't been to a playoff game forever. And to just be in that atmosphere was incredible. And there was one thing that I was hearing a lot while I was in San Jose, and I kind of didn't understand it, but you've brought it through. Kept hearing, this is our time. This is our turn. It's our turn. It's our turn. To me, I'm going, well, wait a minute. The Blues haven't gone to the finals since, 1960 or 1970, and you're thinking it's your turn? You're not even that old, But now I get it. You'd had the Western Conference final runs. You had a really good, strong team put together. Game 4 is the one where the Blues just put their foot down, right?
Yeah.
Tarasenko, I don't think he scored a goal, but he just I think he had 3 assists from rebounds in that game. 2 or 3 assists from rebounds. The atmosphere, I got to tell you, I really, really enjoyed the atmosphere in there. The shark teeth when you're doing the thing, and the only thing I didn't like, and I've watched the game, and you can actually hear this. If you have the NHL package, you can go back and watch older games. You guys say something right at the end of right before the national anthem, right? What is that you guys say, or what I would have heard before that national anthem started?
Well, if you're coming into our building as a fan of the opposing team, don't take it personally. It's a tradition that stems back from the 90s, and it actually was started by a Blackhawks fan who lived in the area and I think was a Sharks season ticket holder. So basically, right before the national anthem, and I don't know why this is the case, and I myself, I don't really get into it, but a few folks will say in this case, hey, St. Louis, and then you hear thousands of people say, you suck. So this happens every game. I'm talking about every game, no matter who we're playing, even if we're playing the Buffalo Sabres or the Florida Panthers, it doesn't matter who comes into the building. That's just the way it's been for decades now.
And you know what? When I heard that, I'd never heard it before. You can hear me just before the anthem starts go, no, we don't! So it was pretty fun. And then the anthem starts right as I'm saying that. So being ex-military, I'm looking kind of bad. But so the game just really played. The atmosphere was great. The shark head coming down.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you think about that with the rally towels and yeah.
I actually still have my rally towels from that game. I have my rally towels from that game. I'm not giving up. I have one of the shark bite signs from NBC that they were giving out. I kept all that. The little wrist bracelet, the light bracelet that they put on, they give you to put on. I still have mine. That whole experience for me was just breathtaking. It really was. And I've been a fan of hockey, but when the Blues went through their losses, the selling of the team in 2005 and the getting rid of everybody and all of that after the lockout, and then being in Hawaii where it's very difficult to watch hockey because the NHL network didn't exist yet, NHL.com, our NHL TV didn't exist yet, so it wasn't easy to stay tuned. And at this point the Cardinals are doing good, so I'm kind of with the Cardinals a little bit. But come 16, at this point, I'm into it. I'm back into it, and I'm really feeling it. So to have that thrill of going to that game, it really brought me back to where I thought I needed to be in hockey. And I can't thank the Sharks enough for that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like to toot my own horn and say, we might not have the tradition that other teams in the league have, but in the playoffs, there is nothing like the shark head coming down, with the fog coming out and the lights that they use during that sequence. Yeah. It's intense. Yeah. It's very intense.
Yeah, even for an imposing fan, I was like, wow, this has got some shockingness to it. So the Blues win Game 3, and then we go our Game 4. And then we go to Game 5 in St. Louis, and you just got, for most fans, the feeling is, wow, that game was the ass whipping the Blues needed to lay down. They're going to just sweep. They're just going to take this thing. Nope, hold the phone. An amazing thing happens in this series. It doesn't happen that often, but it happens where the team that scored first won every single game. And I'm just, kind of baffled by that the teams never came back.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had teams that had good personnel on defense, and goaltending for St. Louis, I recall, was still pretty solid as well between Allen and Elliott. So, yeah, it was, what definitely played to our advantage was in Game 6, we had a guy like Joel Ward. I don't know if he scored the first goal in that Game 6 there, but he was kind of like our ace in the hole in that sense. And yeah, I mean, I think that just the series was pretty close overall to where, that early momentum could be pretty key, because I don't remember these teams, changing momentum all that much during the course of a single game.
Yep. Well, we're kind of getting close on time, so I want to move on from there. So we all know the Sharks end up winning the series and goes on. Now you got a couple of years, and we get to 19. And this is where that irony I talked about comes in. In 19, you guys are the number 3 seed, and now your new rival, the Vegas Golden Knights, who are in their second season, are the number 2 seed.
We had the home ice.
Oh, you had home ice for that one. Okay. That's right. You're right. My bad. Flip that.
Going into it, though, I mean, I'll play any team in the NHL. I don't care if we have to play the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. I don't want to play Vegas. They just have had our number. They beat us in the playoffs the year before that.
Yeah. So you had the 2 seed. Vegas had the 3rd seed. That's right. In St. Louis, they snuck into the 3rd seed after having a rotten year, and they're playing Winnipeg Jets, who backslid to the number 2 seed. They had held first throughout most of the playoffs. You guys have a very spirited series, and everyone talks about one thing in that series, and I'm not going to bring it up too much, but I will say it's the major penalty, right? You and me have talked ad nauseum about it. We both know Louis, who does VKG coverage. He can't even bring the play up without, steam coming out of his ears. You told me something interesting when we were pre-production. You were at the game?
Yeah, I was at Game 7. I got tickets after we won Game 5, I think, and my friend said, all right, if the Sharks, if they force a Game 7, we got to go. And I said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go. I don't want to lose to the Golden Knights on home ice. I've never seen an elimination game like that in person. And he said, no, we got to support our team. And so I said, all right, fine, we'll do it. Playoff tickets were actually pretty affordable, so I was very fortunate to be there, and unbelievable. I consider it a bit of an out-of-body experience for obvious reasons.
Yeah. So you get the Knights are up 3-0, 10 minutes left. In fact, show your shirt. Kind of show your shirt you got right in there. I don't know if you guys can see this really well. I'll try and zoom in on it if I can. Knights are up 3-0 with 10.5 minutes to go when there's a face-off. Joe Pawlowski gets cross-checked. He tangles up with former St. Louis Blue Paul Stastny, hits the ice pretty hard, and splits his head open. Play is stopped, obviously, and that's when all hell breaks loose. The referees get together. Originally, no penalties called, correct?
Correct.
No penalties called. The referees get together, and after talking, and I don't know if they talk just amongst themselves or if they talk with the benches, they decide, I think they originally put up a 2-minute penalty and then came back and changed it to a 5-minute penalty after talking to the attending trainers. Is that correct?
I don't seem to recall in that. You're right, though, that there wasn't an initial penalty, but there might have been some shuffling on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Based on what, the arena thought was going to be the outcome of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we saw 5 minutes, they were like, whoa. But but remember, the Sharks in that game and for that series were terrible on the power play.
Yep.
So I wasn't expecting anything until that second goal, really. But when you score 6 seconds in to a 5-minute power play that continuously runs, then I mean now you've got all the momentum on your side.
And that's absolutely true. And to score 4 goals, I think you scored 4 goals in just a little over 4 minutes, right?
Right, and this sort of onslaught has not happened, I don't think, since like the 1970s. It's only happened, I think, one time in the last 40 or so years that a team has scored 4 goals on a 5-minute advantage.
Yeah, it was that, and this play is very controversial in just the whole way it plays out. And I'll say this, and we're getting short on time on this episode, so I'll save this for the next episode. So, folks, what we're going to do here, we're going to stop this one, and me and Nick have decided that we're going to put this a 2-part episode, part 1 on my channel, and then we're going to do part 2 on his channel slightly later. Nick, I got to thank you for showing up. I appreciate you coming on the show. I can't wait till we finish doing the next episode. And again, go ahead and while we got time, tout your YouTube channel and your Twitter.
Yeah, first of all, I'm excited to continue our conversation here, and I have some questions to ask you too, especially about watching hockey in Hawaii. But anyway, guys, head over to my channel. That's Twisted Wrister Hockey. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram, and even Facebook. I'm a big Sharks fan, but I'm covering all things NHL, all things hockey, hockey history, jersey unboxings, and all that good stuff.
Absolutely love it, Nick. Well, I thank you for showing up on the Blue Note Fan Report. And I say to all those out there, this is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, saying aloha, mahalo, stay safe, stay indoors, and keep bleeding blue. Aloha!